coming very soon from me to you at the Now Spinning Web community on Facebook. As promised, new content from me. That earlier clip you just saw. That was me on the walk track, not too far away from where I live here in San Antonio, and I thought it'd be kind of interesting to do like a cold open. So today's installment, if Phil will allow me to have another one, 2 days in a row, or 3, is going to be about mono records. So let's call this one an intro to mono records. And also, by the way, if you're curious about what I was wearing over my face in the park, is actually this. A bandana in the shape in the Lone Star flag. Right now, I'm sitting between my two speakers. The left speaker over here, or that's the right speaker, or the left speaker, and the right speaker over here, but you can't see them in the shot though. And if I were, and you are in the camera, you're probably sitting approximately where that is the sweet spot in my sound system. So if I were playing a mono recording, be it record or CD, where I'm sitting right now would be the phantom image. This is where all the sound comes in. This is where all the sound would emanate from, because that's what mono is. Mono is one channel. And when you do it through this 2-channel stereo system, it does not have an image, so naturally the image or the phantom center would be in between the two speakers, equidistance. I want to talk about mono recordings in particular on records, because over the past week, since Phil told us all to delve deeper into our music libraries and listen to things we haven't listened to in a long time, that's what I did, and a good majority of the listening was mono records. Okay, so for the most part, I don't have very many mono records, and the ones that I do have are old recordings from the late 50s to the mid 60s and such as that, and I have the last true retail record album I bought was in mono recording, which was Freddie King, The Texas Years, or I forgot the title, but you'll see it here in the video. But if you're into records, and you come across, you may and get some mono recordings, there's some things you may want to know about them and how to get the best performance out of those records so you can enjoy them better. So if you're new to vinyl and you're new to records and you happen to come across a mono record in your collection, or you may buy one at retail, the first question you probably want to ask is, can I play this on my stereo turntable? And the answer is yes, but with a few caveats. Yes, you can play a mono record on your stereo turntable with the stereo cartridge. It shouldn't hurt either the cartridge or the record itself. You may want to be careful about that, especially if you have particularly rare mono records. Second of all, what you're going to get when you play a mono record using a stereo turntable, that you can get a lot of noise. No matter how much you may clean it, it could be perfectly quiet and everything, but you're going to get a lot of noise because the way that cartridges, particularly stereo cartridges, track a record groove is much different than a mono cartridge. And that's also another option. You can go out and get a mono. If you have a turntable that's modern enough, go out and get a mono cartridge. And if you're like me, you like looking at what I call audio porn, which are photographs and pictures of these great-looking, glossy, stainless steel, high-dollar turntables. They often have, 2 or more tone arms. Those tone arms are there for a reason. One tone arm has a stereo cartridge. The other tone arm may have a mono cartridge. So when you play a mono record on a stereo turntable, you'll hear some noise, some background noise from the vinyl itself. But how do you eliminate that? Well, there's a couple of methods of how you can eliminate that out, not completely, but how you can reduce that vinyl noise or that background crackle, snap, and pop down by half. First thing you want to do is to sum the 2 channels together. That the 2 channels coming out of the turntable into one. You merge the 2 together. There's several methods you can use. One that I use is the little thing here. It's a little Y connector, has a male RCA plug at one end and 2 RCA female plugs at the other end. And what this does is take the 2 channels out of the back of the turntable into one. In fact, this is what I use when I dub mono records from my stereo to my computer. In Audacity and other audio editors, you can do that inside the editor itself. To me, that just eliminates one unnecessary step in the editing process. Another method to eliminate noise in playing back mono records over stereo is in your receiver, your AVR, or your amplifier or preamp. If you have a recent model AVR, it probably has a mono switch. Mine has a mono switch. And all you have to do is go through the menu of different soundscapes or different sound decoding processes that are in the AVR, and you may have come across one called mono, or in the case of my last receiver before the one I have now, you can't see it down here out of the shot. It had one that's called TV mono, and it works just fine. And it does the exact same thing as that Y connector does. It sums the two channels together into one, therefore eliminating half the noise of the record. Now this feels so much better. I'm in my sweet spot, and now you're in the phantom center. This is how the way it should be. I sort of turned the tables on you on there, and I didn't see that coming, I bet you. I'm going to conclude this by wrap this up really quickly here, because I think it's important to know these things if you are an avid record buyer. And I think a lot of us in this community are. I'm not one. There's others who are not that big into buying records anymore, or vinyl records, as you want to call them. I don't care. I'm not going to be a butthole about it. But you know, if you're new to the format, you're new to the whole record collecting thing, please reach out to myself and to others, to Phil, to Timothy out there, Graham. There's a lot of people out there running records. Fezzy Harper, my buddy down in South Texas, he has a wonderful collection of records that he probably knows more about this, maybe even I do. But I want to show you two things before I sign off. This is the last record I bought, retail. Freddie King, Texas Oil. In fact, he recorded a lot of these songs here in San Antonio. Great album. It's not marked as mono, but looking at it in Audacity and listening to it on headphones and everything, it's definitely mono. Definitely. And there is a CD version of this, by the way, if you, in case you're wondering that too. I believe the CD version has, I think there's another disc that is not included with this. This is a single disc recording, but the second CD has, I think it might be a double disc with more tracks on there before. And then we have an old friend. This is the Rolling Stones, Hot Rocks. And this is, I believe this is the American pressing here. The reason I pulled this one out, and why I'm picking on it, because this album in particular has, even though it's marked as stereo and stereophonic on the label of the record, it has mono tracks on here. In fact, the first four, I think side one on this particular set is all mono. So I'm going to close this out by telling you guys to go out there, be safe, don't take any risk like I did today by hitting the run track. Be cool, be nice to each other, and keep buying records, keep playing CDs, even tapes are even welcome, I think. I don't think Phil has a problem with running tapes. I did mine a few weeks ago. So, bye.